Hey guys, this will be a review of the Sword Peterbilt 335 mechanics truck, or service truck, whatever you want to call it, in Kokosing's livery. Now you're probably wondering why I got it in this Kokosing's livery, and that's the simple fact that I just think that the colors match very well, and I already have a lot of these 335s and I don't have an orange one, so that made me want it even more. If you don't know, the model was released in 2009, and right off the bat, if you know a lot about models, you know a lot of people don't have this model. And it's primarily because I think that it's priced very high, but you do get what you pay for, which I will show you in this review. Another thing I want to note is if you look at photos of this truck online, it's very hard to find pictures of a model or even pictures of the model that match this truck very well. Luckily, I adjusted my camera settings very well to where it looks just about perfect. And I mean, if you look at pictures online, some of them don't do any justice. I seen one that made it look very dark and actually made it look very nice, but it looks perfect just the way it is. Anyway, to start off, as you can see, the front axle is raised very high off the ground, and there's something I want to point out here. It's very good because it turns very well, meaning that on most Sword models, as you can tell, for some reason, I don't know why they're like this, but the tire always hits the fender, and on this truck they don't. The unfortunate thing is that it doesn't turn very sharp, and I mean that by the turning radius, so it really won't turn that sharp. If you look at it as working suspension, and it just works perfectly. If we back up the camera a little bit and show the nose of the truck, which I'm sure you will like, you can see it just looks very cool. One thing I want to point out is that all the black is flat black, and I think that flat black is a lot better than gloss black because it just gives it a more realistic look, or like a working look, like a faded look. I just like that very much. If we look, the hood opens, and it's hard to tell, but the hood here is actually etched through, so you know there's just a lot of time and whatnot put into this model. You could also see the lights, which go well with the hood. I just think that like the whole hood just flows very well. Coming to the side, you can see it just has a lot of detailing and really sharp detailing. You can see Kokosing's general construction. I believe it says it's very hard to tell. It's so small just looking at the model, reading it, but a very cool feature, and I'm sure you're expecting this, is that the door opens. If I could get it open, because these always seem to be pretty hard to open. So without wasting any time, I figured I'd stop it and open up the door. Regardless, door opens, and you can see it's separate from the mirror, which can give it a little hard time opening up, because usually I just pull on the mirror to open it. But opening up the door, it's not really that flimsy. You can see the door actually moves the whole cab when you move it, so it's very nice. Looking on the inside, you can see it has a steering wheel, which is halfway through the seat, but for whatever reason it's like that. I don't know. I didn't engineer this model. You can also see it has a fire extinguisher right there, and the seats unfortunately don't have any suspension. One thing I want to point out is that it has a nice handrail right here to get into the cab, and I just think that gives a very nice look, and I like how it's chrome. Another thing is the outline of the door is painted silver, and I think that looks very sharp. Below the cab, to get into it, you can see it has a diamond plate step, and it's also chrome, which is also very nice looking. And behind the cab on the actual service truck, you can see that's painted silver. Coming to the other side, you can see it has more very fine decaling, and it has the door to see the passenger side, anyone coming. And this door also opens, and it will reveal the dashboard, as you can see, and hopefully you can see the rest of the truck on there. And below it has the fuel tank for the truck. And then coming to the back of the truck next, and before that I want to show something that I don't necessarily agree with on this truck. Now, if we raise up the camera and look on top of the cab, you can see it has one air horn, and it would have been nice if they would have had two. That's all I'm gonna say. I don't know why they put one. I don't have any say in when they build these models, but it would have been nice to have two. I mean, I guess the real one doesn't have two, and I feel like it's missing the exhaust. I don't know why they don't have it on there. It does give it a cool look without it on there, but I don't know why it's missing it. And I don't know if anybody else noticed that, or if it was just me, but I don't know if any, maybe my model is just missing it or what, but it doesn't have the exhaust, and it doesn't look like there's any spots to put it, which is unfortunate. And I'm just dumping out the back here to show you. Now, before we go to the back, I completely forgot about the engine, which I don't know how. Now, here's the engine. For some reason, this model was, I don't know if it was returned or something, but as you can see, the string to hold the hood doesn't even, it's not even tied on. But this is a good thing because I can show you the engine without, trying to show you it, with it only opening to right there. But as you can see, pretty nice detail, even as the windshield wipers up top here. And if we look at the mirrors, you can see they actually do reflect stuff, which is cool. Now, coming to the back of the truck, the back of the truck is really nice, and I really have no complaints about it. For the sake of the review, because I know somebody is gonna say it, it would have been nice for one or two of these doors to open, but then it would have also increased the price. So I'm fine with them being closed, but I know somebody on here is gonna say something about the doors not opening, and they don't open. But like I said, if they would have opened, it would have increased the price a lot, and then no one really would have bought this model. But in the place of that, they give you the little, I guess, latches that would normally open and even etch it out. So they did go, to kind of represent them. You can see the Kokosing's livery again, and the little latches again. And if you want to look at the back, like most of these models, the back really doesn't have that good of a suspension, but the front does. So I'm fine with that. Coming to the back, which is my favorite, the very cool thing that they did, and I really like how they did this, is they added these two light towers here. For some reason, I just really like that. A different type of thought put into this model with putting those on there. I just think that it was really cool. I mean, I'm sure the real truck has it, that's why they put it on there, but I just really like how they put them there. Because, sometimes servicing does go on at night. Below here, and I'm going to have to tilt the model up for this, you can see it has a step here and it's etched through. And before I get to these, I'm going to show you the rest because they actually go under the truck. And the back of it actually has a small little vise on it, which is absolutely crazy. I mean, I really don't know what to say about that. That's just very cool how they have that there. I believe it's plastic, but, what would you expect of something that small? Coming onto the side, you notice that this side is a little bit different in which way it has a crane. And I'm going to show the crane, kind of last, because it's really the only thing I have a complaint about. But this side, again, has the latches and the decaling. Now, raising up to show you the top, hopefully we could focus now. I have to raise higher. Alright, so here's the top of the truck. You can see the inside all has diamond plate texture, painted flat black. I think that's just a lot nicer than chrome. One reason why I didn't get the other colors is because the insides are chrome, and there really aren't too many of these available anymore. Inside over here you have a compressor, and it looks to be a generator maybe. I believe that's the compressor. Over here a fire extinguisher and a little toolbox, I guess. Really not too sure. Now, the cool thing is right here, that these doors open. So that one opens, and then this one opens. The weird thing about them is they're so close together that when you open one, the other one wants to open, and it's hard to open this one because it always gets stuck on the other one, but I'll keep them both open. It's just got some tools and whatnot, you know, extra hoses in here, and they actually come out, as you could see. But, I mean, I'm just going to keep them in there because I know I'm not actually going to use them. But a bunch of other stuff, I can't even see what these are. I mean, jumper cables, I mean, I really don't know, but they're there, and they just make for a really nice detail. As you can see, it even closes with the next. Now, if you notice back here, and I didn't know what this was until I made a review of one of these years ago when I had a white one. The back of it has this little door here, and that's just so stuff doesn't fall out. And you're probably wondering what doesn't fall out. They give you these rubber wheel chocks. They actually are rubber, so they will stop a truck from rolling. And they give you 3 of those, actually 4 of those, and then they give you 3 little cones, and then they give you what I always hear people call the creeper. And you know, you just slide under a truck with it on your back, so you can get your back dirty and can slide in and out easy. And that's why they give you the little door on the back so nothing falls out. And if you notice, I dropped everything out before because I wanted to show how that works. And I just throw everything in there. Now, coming to, which unfortunately is to say the most disappointing part of the review, and I never really like to say bad things about, you know, some models, but this is pretty unfortunate how this works. The crane here looks super nice. You really can't say anything bad about it, but it doesn't function that well. To get the hook off there, you actually have to, sometimes it's a pain to do. But alright, there it is off. I believe it's like this because it's so small. It's just, you know, sometimes very hard to capture a lot of realism and detail in some parts so small. And I believe that this is one of those situations, because just about every TWH and sword model is, you know, super nice and built, you know, to the best that they could. But regardless, one thing that I don't like, because it doesn't bother me that the crane doesn't extend. It does to a point, but I feel like I wouldn't even display with the crane extended unless, you know, I had like a diorama or something. But one thing that it gets annoying after a while is that the line just comes right off, and you know, if it just, I know that sounds crazy, but that just annoys me sometimes. Besides the point, it raises to a height of right there, which is nice, and then it will spin a 360 and a lower to around right there, and once again spin a 360, and then I'll just go into the little cradle right here. Now it's just so small, I wasn't expecting it to work, but if you're gonna buy it in hopes of it working, I probably wouldn't, because it's even hard for it to hold up a load. But overall, the crane just looks, you know, very nice in scale. It did a good job with that. But if you're hoping that if it'll function, it won't, and that is very unfortunate. Once again, not like I would really use it anyway, but this is a review of it. And the way that you put it on there is, I found the best way is just to put it like this. Sometimes it's a little irritating because it seems to work sometimes and then it doesn't, but I figured I'd just show you guys. If it doesn't go this time, I'm just gonna leave it. It really doesn't matter to me. And if you bring it over the top, I guess it's easier to do. And there you go. I guess it's easier to do like that. Anyway, as I was saying before, the line that leads under the truck, I'm very unsure of what it does, but it's on 2 reels under here. And I'm unsure of what it does. Maybe it's compressed air. Maybe it's, you know, some electric lines, but once again, I'm unsure. And if you notice, it even has Kokosings on the mud flaps, and underneath the truck is actually pretty decent, as you can see. So, overall, model for 142 bucks. As I always say, and it probably gets annoying me saying this, but I always like to buy high quality models. Definitely worth it. And one thing I want to point out is, as these model manufacturers make some models, you know, break down for transport, they look very, very nice on display with models that could break down for transport. And a perfect example of this is with the WSI 870, as you could see. Just to look really cool in a diorama with the service truck, you know, in the back of the photo with the excavator being broken down for transport. Another reason why I really like this truck, it just goes well, even with a crane assembly or a disassembly. You know, it just looks well with other models, and I think that's where this model definitely shines, along with the build quality and the detail. So, besides the point, definitely get it. And one thing I want to point out also is it seems like not that many people have this model, but then it also seems when you go to buy one, there's really only 2 or 3 versions available still. Why it's like that, I don't know, because you look at a lot of people's collections and you really don't see them. So maybe they were just very limited made. I'm not sure how many were made of these. To be honest, really doesn't matter to me, but it would look good for stats. But regardless, there is the Sword Peterbilt 335 service truck in Kokosing's library.